Very excited.
So excited to have you here. I'm so excited for a chance to hang out with you. We knew each other from being in the tarot community for a few years ago. And all the time that I've known you, and I've never asked you about your name, Medicine
Okay.
Snake. And I just wanted to know how that came to be.
Yeah, it's a really wild story, and I don't like always share it publicly because when I tell people, they kind of just give me like a bit of a deer in the headlights look. But I guess it starts back from like many years ago when I was trying to get in touch with like my spirit animal, or like, what my energy is, I guess, or like what animal is, making a big influence in my life and my personality. And my grandfather's a shaman. So I would always just kind of like call him and ask him to journey for me or help me journey to come into communication with that. And he would always just like, tell me how to do it, but he would also just say, this is for you to discover. This is for you to, find out on your own. So, I would try and I would kind of like search and search, but it came to me when I was on like a camping trip, a primitive camping trip way out in the Nevada desert with my daughter. There was nothing around. We were just like way out in like Jeep trails, and I think we spent probably almost a week out there. But we would always just like, try to help each other keep an eye out for like coyotes or rabbits or any kind of animal that would go in front of our car while we were driving on these paths. And right when I was telling her to help me keep an eye out, a snake went right in front of the car. And so we stopped, and we got out. I was gonna, help escort the snake off of the Jeep trail that we were on, but it just died. It crawled, or like, slithered its way on into our path, and then it just died before our very eyes. And we were both like, whoa. Like, that was really wild. Um, she was pretty little at the time. She still remembers everything, but it stuck with me. Like, it was a really powerful moment. This is before I started reading tarot. This was, I was like on my spiritual path, but I wasn't completely like in touch with it yet. Um, so I really started like doing some more journey work, really deep diving into meditation. And it I say it, the snake came to me during a deep, very long meditation, and it gifted me that name. But it took a few years of me meditating and like really just, kind of getting into it. Um, and I called my grandfather and I told him, I said, I know what it is. It came to me, and it gave me that name, Medicine Snake. And so it's been years. It's probably been about 10 years now where I've just carried that name through my spiritual travels, and it's stuck with me. I feel like very honored that I got to receive that name from the beautiful snake. I still have a picture of it. Um, yeah, it was really amazing. It's hard for people to understand or like believe it, but it happened. It really happened.
Well,
It's yeah.
in tarot, death is like rebirth, and the end is the beginning of something else. So I think that's a beautiful story of your
Yeah,
transformation and how you got that name. That's
right.
amazing.
And like also like wouldn't a snake really like symbolize that kind of energy of like, death and rebirth and, reinventing yourself always, because, as it grows and eats and like devours whatever it needs to survive, it sheds its skin and is renewed,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I feel like, maybe like snakes have been demonized in our society and our culture, and, people have a fear of snakes. And I think it's kind of unfortunate. Like it goes back to the Bible where it's kind of, portrayed with Eve as like a diminishment of her abundance, I guess,
Mhm.
So I hope that, as our society grows, that we can move away from that demonology of snakes.
Well, even in Harry Potter, like, the house Slytherin is, like, the evil house.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I see what you're saying, absolutely.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you look back through like, many, many, many old, ancient civilizations, snakes were really highly regarded.
Mhm.
They were, worshipped in a lot of, ancient civilizations. If you go back to like a lot of origin stories, of, native people, there's all over the world collectively a cosmic serpent. And, I just think it's a beautiful story. We need to honor it, really,
Mhm. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for
So that's
sharing.
where medicine snake comes from.
I love it, I love
Thank
it.
you.
And so how would you describe your spiritual path? You talked a little bit about, being on your journey and using meditation. How it where are you on the path now? How did it start? Where are you
Yeah.
now? And where do you think you feel like you're headed?
Yeah. So, this is another thing that I don't always share, but, this is about authenticity, and I'm just gonna lay it all out. Um, I I went through a period of my life where I was, in a really, really deep kind of, like, situational depression. I was just in a really dark place, um, and I you know, my family took me to the doctors. I was very, very depressed. I was not coping with my life very well. I'd moved back in with my mom after moving from Hawaii back to Nevada. And, this is probably like 10, probably between 10 and 12 years ago. And the antidepressants that the doctors put me on gave me the the terrible side effect of becoming suicidal. So I just went from like a deep depression, um to like over this line of like, yeah, no, now I'm gonna kill myself. And um I'm just really thankful that I didn't, I have my daughter, and I would just look at her and watch her grow, and I just couldn't do it. But I stopped taking all those drugs against my doctor's orders, and I started taking mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, and, it wasn't about, like, being in a party, it wasn't like, trying to, party with my friends and, go on mushroom trips. I used that medicine or that tool as, like, a way for me to overcome that depression, which it did. I quickly had you know, a very big ego death, and, um, it it just, like, opened my mind to, like, having a different experience. Like, it could just, like, assess the pain that I was going through, or, like, witness it and see it without having, like, all of these emotional attachments to it. And it
Mhm.
was a lot easier for me to be able to, like, process what I was going through. And, I did that for, like, a few years. Um, I don't really take them anymore. I still have some, I just don't I feel like the medicine is in me already, and I've had those experiences, and I can kind of, like, call on that when I need it. Um, I guess they're there if I want them or need them, but that kind of just was the catalyst for me being like, I am more than this. I am more than these things that have happened to me, this, pain that I'm feeling. and it really like opened my whole mind, and like, you know, just I was just aware of like so many different avenues to be able to explore. And before I was just very closed off to everything. So, you know, I really do like, you know, give my thanks to that, because it's let me explore and, you know, brought new experiences into my life where like, you know, I kind of explored Buddhism. I explored, you know, different like, you know, I would say like religions, which, you know, I could never commit to one thing, but it opened my spiritual aura, I guess. And you know, where I'm going now, I would just like to say that you know, the world is my oyster. I I feel very committed to helping other folks that maybe have similar experiences to me, um, you know, kind of like witness themselves through tarot, through ritual, through, um, you know, meditation, things like that. So,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Absolutely. I love that.
thank you.
So, me personally, when I think of you, I think of the
Mhm.
Strength card in tarot. And I do that because of your connection to animals and just seeing that connection, and but also that grace that you hold yourself with and that you navigate the world with. I love
Mm.
that so much as part of your energy. And what do you think of when I say strength?
Um, First of all, thank you. That's that's really touching. I am obsessed with animals. I actually pulled out the a strength card here from the Rider Waite Coleman Smith deck here, and it's very like just very bright but calm. There's not a lot of like forceful energy happening. You know, the lion could easily kill her, but she's, you know, just gently being with it and
Mm,
kind of controlling that kind of energy as well. Um, there's something like when I think about strength for myself, it comes from like that selfless devotion, or you know, like being so devoted to something that it's in the fiber of your being.
mm,
You know, it's like, you know, I guess the other thing that comes to my mind when I think about this is Bob Marley saying something along the lines of like, you never know how strong you are until you have to be strong.
mm,
And it's just like being in that, you know, standing in your truth and being selflessly devoted to whatever your cause is, really. There's another strength card that I pulled out here from the pagan other worlds. And I
mm,
love this one too, with the bear. I
mm.
love that because it's like, you know, a bear is like connected with earth to me very deeply, and it's coming up, um you know, like maybe your spirituality coming up from a slumber where it's like, you know, been in hibernation, and here it is just like, you know, blooming, and the strength is there to kind of just help guide it, I guess. And I love that. The other thing with the strength card, traditionally there's usually like the lemniscate or the figure eight,
Mhm.
and it's really symbolic of like that constant flow of energy and matter and spirit, and you know, kind of, you know, the known and the unknown. And I love that. It's really like that kind of moment that I really want to try to harness and like be in, you know, where I'm just in my flow state, everything's going. And it's also, speaking of snakes, um akin to the aurora boreas, where it's the snake devouring its own tail. And
Oh, okay.
um,
And like
yeah.
the infinity, yeah, of it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
um it's just like a relation. to time and energy and the past and the present and the future, and just always in flow. It doesn't stop, it doesn't end, it doesn't begin, it just is. And I think that's a very good state to be in.
I love everything about your answer to that question. Thank you for pulling the cards for us, and thank you for giving me so much value in that standing in your truth and strength is service.
Mhm.
I'm going to carry that with me. Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, just like touching on that again is like strength as service, because I feel like it's really easy in this day and age to kind of get caught up in the me, like my feelings, or like, what am I doing? It And that can kind of become a diminished, maybe murky, getting off into the weeds kind of place to be in. And I feel like maybe there's a lot of opportunity to get lost in that. It's like when you bring yourself back to like being in service to whatever it is that you feel passionate about, that's when you really become strong and energetic. And you're also like in it for, not the notoriety, not anything, but whatever it is that you're in service to. Um, and I think that like really feels good to me in this moment. Like my yearly card, or the card of the year for myself, is temperance. And I'm always just thinking too of like how she has the temperance card, one foot in the water and one foot on the ground, and it's like being, you know, dipped into the unknown, and like kind of like tapping into that energy while also being grounded, calm. It's, the calmness in the temperance card feels a lot like the energy of the calmness in strength.
Mhm.
And like, just the replenishing of the cups, pouring them in and out and in and out, and just being in that flow state. So there's a lot of um, correlations between them that really resonate with me.
That's amazing. I love that. I love how you talk about being in flow and
Yeah.
removing yourself from the equation and focusing on service. It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone still trying to find their path?
It's hard sometimes, I feel like there's, in this day of like social media too, we're kind of like inundated with, like 7 simple steps to, accomplishing this, or, just 3 easy steps of, doing this. Um, I would say beware of that kind of stuff, because there's no easy steps to anything. And it really is just finding like little nuggets of curiosity, or something that you notice, something that might, bring your attention to something, and like just being open to following that, and following it until you've reached the end point of it, and then, you can follow multiple things at once, but it's just like exploring all the little signs, for lack of a better word, um, that might pop up to you. It's not an easy journey. I mean, that's the thing. It's just not. So
Mhm.
there aren't any easy steps, or like ways to get around it. It's a dirty job, you know, following your path of like spirituality, or like what your journey is. I mean, I feel like I'm still doing that,
Mhm.
I feel like we probably all will be until we die, and, move on to see, what this experience was about, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, there's really like, I guess the other thing that I could mention is that, um, once you say that for certain one thing is one way or another, you have completely closed off the opportunity, um, for the unknown to come into your life, you know? It just completely, like, as soon as you say, "I know," that's it. You've closed down and you've put up a wall to whatever else the universe, um, is trying to make you aware of.
Okay.
So, just don't say "I know," because we just don't, we try to follow what sparks our interest,
Mhm.
and just going down those paths. It's like rabbit holes sometimes, but, it's a journey of exploration and just being open to everything.
On your website, you call yourself a perpetual evolver, and I love that. That is me completely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I really am a perpetual evolver.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like snakes are perpetual evolvers.
Mm.
Um, you know, it's it's in my nature. I mean, we just or, I do believe that some people are very comfortable being in, kind of like their white picket fences, their, HOAs, and, like, just being like in their safe little worlds. I just can't be satisfied with that. There is so much mystery out in the world and I want to know it all, and
Absolutely.
I can't be open to it if I don't allow myself to grow and evolve all the time. Yeah.
That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. So, Miss Camlyn, how do people find you? Are you
Yeah, I have my website,
Mhm,
medicinesnake.love.
mhm,
I'm on Instagram, medicine.snake. I am also on Facebook under Camlyn Medicine Snake, and I think those are pretty much like my main
mhm,
places. Um, I try to not, like, I never reach out to anybody over Instagram or anything and offer readings. I don't like that.
mhm,
It's very scammy.
mhm,
I try to just make myself available in the community here, in Northern Nevada where I'm at. Um, and online, if people find me, I've had, several, actually quite a few, like 3-month long, tarot life coaching packages, with folks that I love those because they're really like, I know if somebody's doing something for like, a quarter of the year from a solstice to an equinox, they're really devoted to exploring themselves and like, kind of facilitating their own growth. Um, I do one-off tarot readings. I do like to do them and I do them quite often, but I I like kind of like my bigger rituals. I do offer rituals too, I should say. Which, you asked about spiritual paths and journeys. I'm coming back to that thinking now that I said ritual, there's uh, a huge opportunity for people to um, kind of like come back to their own souls through ritual. I feel like through time, and especially in the day and age that we live in right now, we are kind of disconnected from the seasons, from ourselves, from nature, because we don't really honor those beginnings and ends and all the events that happen in people's lives that you know a ritual would give it meaning and help
mhm.
tell the story of their own experience. So I'm pretty diving a lot deeper into um rituals, as far if it's like a new baby on the way, a death in the family. I've done some of those, a death of a pet,
Mhm.
um gender affirming rituals. All There's so many different opportunities for people to tell the story of their lives,
Yeah.
and the ritual is what gives it meaning. And
Honoring the milestones and the
yeah.
rhythms. I love that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. So, I'm doing a lot of that. Yeah, I think it's, mainly like my bigger tarot life coaching commitments that I find the most moving for people, the rituals. Of course, if there's like a burning question in the moment, or needing some divination for guidance, I love that. I do quite a few one-off readings as well.
And I always appreciate that I have you on speed dial.
Yeah, thank you. I know, I think I've asked you through the years that we've known each other too, like, I pulled this card, what do you think?
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
fun to like have someone that you can kind of hash things out with too, because sometimes you just don't see the forest through the trees,
Yeah.
Mhm,
I
definitely.
always appreciate your perspective, and thank you so much for being on here today. I had so much fun. I got so much value out of everything you said.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for hosting me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime. I would love to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you.